Thanks,
What up,
Frank.
homie?
It's a cue.
Yeah.
Hey.
Hey, how you doing?
Oh,
Hey,
hey.
dude, good
to
to see you.
see you.
Wow. See this guy at
Good to
Collins,
see you.
Yeah.
Calling from
Yeah.
2049.
Dude,
Drive.
it looks like Garrett's office.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I set up LEDs.
Did I do that?
Why are we
In
picture
my-
picture?
Brian did that.
Brian
Okay.
said, yeah. Brian will get
I
you
set up
there.
LED. I
Yeah.
set up LEDs in my in my dorm room, so now I can do shit like this. Check this out.
Oh
Hold
yeah,
on.
you got dancing
Yeah.
lights.
Oh, yeah, it is like Garrett's
And
office.
you even got a
I can
neon
do
parappa
it.
shirt.
What, Derek? What theme do you
Right.
want for this call? Should he kind of match the set?
I can do like multicolors.
Whoa.
You know, Valentine's Day is coming up. I think you should do like a
Oh.
passionate red.
That's
Yeah.
true.
That's hot.
You know,
Oh,
red
hold
light
on.
district.
Do I make
Yeah,
I used to
yeah,
drive
that's
a
good.
Ford Fiesta. I had mood
Yeah.
lighting too.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
That's hot.
Check that out.
That was great.
See? Wow.
Anyways, what's your call?
So, my
Now.
question is, I'm not someone who normally gets upset or
Nice.
offended by anything. And I'm not trying to be like,
Oh,
edgy
God.
or anything when I say that, but what was the last thing you watched that surprisingly affected you or offended you? Because I saw that movie mid-90s that came out this summer, and I was really like disgusted by a lot of the content in it, a lot of bad stuff happening to children.
Is that the skate
And I
movie?
was-
Yeah.
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 The Jonah
was
Hill
like-
made.
Yeah.
I didn't. I
Yeah.
never got a
Oh.
chance to see that.
Yeah, I didn't see it.
And it was weird because it was like normally I'm not like upset by too much imagery or anything like that, but that was a movie I had to like pause a few times because I was like, no, this is a little too much
Now
for me.
there's different elements in that movie. There's like use of language. They talk like skaters in the 90s. So
Oh,
they
yeah,
say
yeah.
the F word, they say the N word. But there's also violence against kids. Like which thing are you talking about?
These are the kids.
The whole
There-
shebang.
a lot of the stuff, like the party scene, and then like when he comes home and he like chokes himself.
Yeah.
It was a lot. It was a
Jonah
lot
Hill's
more.
least funniest movie by
Oh
far.
my god.
You know, I miss
Yeah,
Super
yeah.
Bad Days personally.
Yeah, I don't.
But yeah, no, I was expecting it to be kind of like a nostalgia movie, kind of a little nicer, but I just kind of left with a very uneasy feeling. I guess my question is, what was the last thing you saw that made you feel like unexpectedly like, oh, I'm a little uneasy right now?
I think I'm so desensitized that it hasn't happened since I was like in high school.
Oh, really?
And I have very fond memories, vivid memories, because film is so important to me because of the films that make an emotion come out of you that you necessarily weren't even expecting or wanting. And the first time I think that happened was seeing A Clockwork Orange.
Oh, yeah, that
Like
that-
freshman
that
year of
fucked
high
me
school.
up, yeah.
And some of the rape scenes were like fucking so like it was like nothing I'd ever seen before. And it really freaked me out and fucked me up. And I didn't want to ever see that movie again until, I don't know, like I think 2 or 3 years later, then I gave it another watch. And I actually, when I was like a little older, and that's like my favorite Kubrick movie, I think because it is so visceral in ways.
Yeah.
But then the movie Kids, there's a
Was that Robin Williams?
no, it's a
Close.
Harvey Korine.
You're thinking of toys.
Oh, I think with toys. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's
about
a rape,
the same.
There's a rape scene in that too. That really rape scenes are not fun in movies. So
No.
that's typically what
No.
what
No.
they're in a lot
That's a
of film.
blanket
They
statement, you know.
And and I think it has its place in film. But yeah, usually that's what freaks me the fuck out.
Yeah. You know but
That happened
It's
so
funny.
long ago though. I
I
think
remember I just watched Mindhunter.
Oh yes.
And that show wasn't very graphic. Like there was not a lot of blood in that show, but the things they would say were so fucked up that like my brain has never gone to such a dark place, and to hear these things, I was like, oh fuck, oh my god, like
Your
that-
mind just got hunted.
It really, I felt like, oh,
damn.
you like fucked with me, and you didn't show me anything. You just said these words, and I was like, ah. So the descriptions in Mindhunter really got me.
I mentioned this. We kind of talked about this when David Jaffe was here about like offensive art. And again, Lars von Trier's The House That Jack Built. Like I knew going in, okay, it's a Lars von Trier film about a serial killer.
Yeah.
But I didn't realize that the film would be about making art. And so Lars von Trier has a serial killer, but his murders are his art. And Lars von Trier connects like doing a murder as making a film.
Yeah.
And after I got out of that movie, again, I had to have a conversation with Brian for an hour about it because it's like I really related to this movie. Like I get what he's trying to say. He talks about like the serial killer needs to kill out of compulsion, but Lars von Trier talks about I need to make a film out of a compulsion. If I don't make something, I go fucking crazy, and that's how I feel. And I was like, wait, I relate to this. Like, is this okay? But that's what the film is about. But like, it put me in a weird headspace of like, I get what this like. And again, that's why I keep bringing it up because please see this movie. Like, it's fucking like
Yeah, no.
scary
Or
how
Frank
much-
will kill you.
Yeah,
He's
I actually
compulsed
got
to
to-
do it.
yeah. It's the
I
same
got to
reason
see
I take
that one in
American Psycho.
theaters. I got to see that one in theaters too when it came out, and I'm like in the same boat as you. I thought it was actually I was like, oh wow, I can't believe I'm kind of relating to some of the things he's saying here in some ways. But I remember I was at the unrated screening, and there was a lot of people in the theater who were like really upset by it. And I was kind of like staying in the lobby after everyone was like exiting the theater. And there was so many people who were just so viscerally angry about that movie. Just so many like
In the
I
lobby?
can't yeah, like in the lobby, like I can't believe we fucking went to this. This was disgusting.
I had like two.
I
I
love that a director can create that emotion in thousands of strangers across the world by
I
releasing
think
his art.
That there's kind of an ebb and flow to movies, and right now, yeah.
Movie trailers.
I mean,
kicking
when I
in.
speak, I deserve classic music like that.
In a world.
Orchestra pit.
What am I trying to say? Like, I've seen a bunch of movies with the scenes we're talking about, and a lot of times it bothers me, but at the same time, it doesn't bother me because I'm watching the movie and I'm thinking like, well, this is a movie. Everything is fake. Everything I'm watching is they're actors portraying something. So the fact that I'm actually feeling like emotions and I'm all pent up about what I'm watching, I kind of get a kick out of that as a audience member. I feel like
As an adult now, I feel that way
I
too.
feel like kudos to you as a director. You have enough control over this film that you created that you can actually affect the way I'm feeling. What pisses me off is when a movie sucks. And then they are doing all this edgy shit. And I'm thinking, this has no effect on me. And I'm tired of watching this bullshit.
Right, yeah.
And I saw...
Then it's trite.
I saw a movie recently, and it was like a hyper-violent Western movie, but the story really sucked. And it was just this guy killing people and like shooting them and slitting their throats and saying all this stupid shit while he was doing it. And by the end of the movie, I was like, yo, fuck this movie. This has no fucking point. There's nothing redeeming here. I'm not feeling connected to this. I don't feel like this edgy shit serves of any purpose for the storytelling. And then I think about how movies from the 90s were kind of there was a lot of edgy shit that
Just
was
to be there.
praised. And I feel like getting back to this ebb and flow, you kind of have to take it with some cultural context. And I feel like, and this is just my opinion, the 80s were a very kind of conservative time in America with Ronald Reagan as the president. And, you know, there was all these
Wars.
like mothers didn't want their kids to play Dungeons and Dragons because it was witchcraft. And moving into the 90s, there was a big backlash to all that conservatism. And you started getting movies like Kids and all this fucked up stuff.
Yeah.
But I feel like now in 2018, 2019, there's been such a, and I'm going to use political terms, but I don't mean it in a political context. But we've gone through such a liberal era that now I feel like we're in a time where edgy stuff is not going to fly, and edgy for being the sake of edgy, maybe that'll be acceptable later on. I feel like there's some artistic merit to doing something that goes against the grain of culture.
Oh yeah.
But I don't think just being edgy right now is going against the grain of our current culture. If that makes sense, and maybe that's too highbrow and snobby for me to say, but you know.
No, I get what you're saying, honestly. I do think that there is an important, and I almost kind of appreciate that kind of standard, that, and maybe not standard, but I kind of like that edgy for the sake of edgy isn't happening as much as maybe it used to. So when you see stuff that's kind of guttural in movies and just in media nowadays, it's kind of like, okay, maybe you earned that, and not so much that we're getting constant, like, just vulgar shit all the time.
I feel like, for example, Quentin Tarantino movies are the perfect example. When he first started Reservoir Dogs and Pulp Fiction, there's some edgy shit in there.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
they're like torturing cops.
Yeah,
They're-
that scene, I guess, is another one that kind of gave me some tingles.
Yeah, they're like threatening to kill people in
Back
a
in the
diner.
day.
But I feel like that was mind-blowing for the 90s, for the early and mid-90s. But if you did that now, and I kind of feel that with, modern Quentin Tarantino movies, I just feel like this doesn't really have the same punch because I feel like we're not in the same mind space as a society as we were back then.
I miss the way that like kind of basic bitch directors like Tarantino could make me feel when I was young. Like I said, all those examples of being freaked out was when I was young, like in high
Right.
school. And I think I'm so desensitized because being a horror movie fan, you get into genres of horror that are like shock horror and like extreme.
Totally.
There's crazy shit out there that I've seen that has made like everything that freaked me out back in the day like seem so passe. Like,
Right.
oh,
It's almost like, recently I saw a video from, I believe it was 1970, and it was people reacting to The Exorcist when it had first come out.
yeah.
It was like news footage interviewing people who had just seen The Exorcist, and it was like girls coming out of the theater crying, just being like, I tried to watch the movie, but
Hark.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, this is why The Exorcist was a cultural movement,
Right.
because people couldn't handle it. But if you watch The Exorcist now, we've come so far, people don't have that reaction. I feel like nowadays, pretty much, you're allowed to do whatever you want in a movie. Nobody's going to say, like, you're not allowed to do that. And so there's nobody stopping you from being edgy. And that's kind of the crux of everything.
Well, there's YouTube now, and like if it doesn't work, it doesn't get views.
Yeah.
But people aren't producing like the super edgy shit anymore, especially not in 2019.
Yeah.
So, that's my take on it.
Cool. Well, thank
Thanks
you
for
for
the
your
call.
call.
Yeah.
Dude, good call. See you soon, hopefully.
This is-
Goodbye.
I still love The Exorcist as a film,
Yeah.
but I just don't think that audience members are going to cry when they watch it.